Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll just let the video catch up on Greg's side, so we're sure everybody can hear us. But I'm sure everybody can hear us. So let us know if you can't hear us.
Yeah,
uh,
throw a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear us.
yeah. So just first off, thank you to everybody who's here. I would shout out chat, but there's quite a few people in chat today. But we got who we got? Stig,
Yeah,
SP3, 3D, Victor, Ben,
Ben,
Gary. Yeah.
Gary.
Hello, guys. Yeah, it seems if we can repeat those low number birthdays, I think it's better. But Jess, thank you for the birthday wishes, folks. It's awful kind of you. Yay, we're live.
Hopefully, we stay live the whole
Mhm.
time this time.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
We will
yeah.
see.
So hope everyone's had a good week so far.
Yeah, it's crazy times in some parts of our viewership. I know too. I hope throw a shout out to Ben. Hope everything's okay down your way. And um, I I saw you had some problems with the water supply, so hopefully um, that gets fixed for you. I saw on
Yeah.
the boil water orders for like the whole state from the CDC on the Twitter on my
Um.
Twitter feed. So that's crazy.
Well, I guess there's disadvantages to being independent from the rest of the national grid. Uh,
It's true.
but but what, to each their own.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully the state can get that stuff straightened out, and I guess hopefully we don't have any more of these crazy weather. But with everything that's happening nowadays in nationwide and worldwide, it seems like everything just gets crazier and crazier every year.
Weather is the
So
thing. Yeah, it's either fires or snow. Who knows? Or water,
yep.
right? Flood, yeah. Yes, thanks Ben for reminding everybody. But yeah, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. We like you. Yeah, come join us.
Oh, Stig, that's very generous. We'll make sure that David
Thanks,
gets
Stig.
a birthday something out of that.
We'll buy a birthday burrito. Thank you, sir. That's awful kind of you. I appreciate it. So weather aside and things of that nature, I mean, we have a few things we're going to talk about, but if you got questions and stuff, like always, you can
Uh
pop them in
oh,
the chat.
we
Hmm.
are
No, we're
mm,
fine. We're fine.
okay. I've got no stream. Oh, there's back.
Just wait. What the heck? I'm gonna. I think we're okay. No, we're at zero. Jeez. I hate this. Like, I can't shut anything else off. One sec. Only problems we have here in Norway is high electric bills. It is the is it bad out there? I don't know much about Norway's electric bills. I mean, I think Canada is I know Canada's bills, like our gas is what, four times the price to fuel your car as it is in the States.
Yeah, it's pretty high
Um
here. But yeah, our electric isn't too bad. But oh well.
yeah, I don't know. Like ours we're talking what, 6.7 cents kilowatt hour or something like that. I forget what I pay. It's fun. Bills are fun. But so last week before, we've been talking about arc welding. Um, and Ben, I know, has been using the arc welding plugin in the marketplace from Kira. But I wanted to really quickly go through a little bit. We are going to be doing like a full coverage on it. It's a cool feature. And if you haven't seen it before, there are some fairly good advantages to it. Do either of you guys do any laser engraving? Yes, I have a laser or I have a laser for engraving. Um, but it's too cold outside where my laser engraver is, so I don't go out there.
uh, I've done some pen plotting, which you use the same slicing for laser engraving. My
Yeah,
daughter built a pen plotter, and it works the same way.
like the
But I don't have a powerful enough laser to cut things.
yeah, cutting, like you need to get into the CO2 lasers if you really want to cut stuff, not just like the blue light, like what 5.5 watt lasers that you get from Creality. You want something a little bit beefier. Um, do you do any of that, Ben? Just throw it back at you. Do you do any laser cutting? It's fun. There's nothing wrong. It just you need like my stuff's all in the garage. It's away from me. I don't breathe in stuff. It's good. Um, there's been updates. Yes, there has been some updates, Dark Welder. I wanted to show you, and this is getting crazy, Greg. This is just
Okay.
nuts. I'm gonna try to
Let's
do a screen sharing thing. We'll see.
well, let's hope the stream stays stable.
Yes. So I'm just gonna pop this over to the other window. There's nothing really going on here, so I think we should be okay.
Hey, Vince.
Hey, Vince. Vince, if you guys don't know or haven't seen, Vince has been rocking the Ender IDEX kit, and I've been following some of his pictures and stuff that he's been posting to the Creality forum. It's pretty sweet. He's got that thing tuned in pretty well. Watching Greg video on Big Tree Tech. Didn't realize Big Tree Tech have two versions of the touchscreen. Yes, they do. Not yet. We're
Yep.
gonna get one soon. Yeah, shoot for if you want to cut Ben. You need to get a CO2 laser. You can get the CO2 lasers on Amazon.com. They're for you. They'd be roughly like $300 to $500 to start, and then you can cut, but keep in mind engraving and etching on clear substances um, is tricky at any power of laser. So if you're gonna if you want to make an acrylic sign where the LEDs shine through and you see stuff, the best option is CNC still. Mill it and scuff it up with the words will come, Greg. Scuff it
Tool
up.
head.
Yes. Scuff it with the tool head. That's the words I'm looking for. I'm going to pop over to my other screen. We got a small Congo, but didn't last long. Yeah. Those little ones were great. So I just switched screens. There's no Greg or David video on this, which is fine. I'm just going to give it a second just to stabilize. But this is my Octoprint instance. And you can see these two files here. So if I just zoom in, maybe there's two files called shoe rack, but you can see this one has the AW beside it, and this one is just not. And you can look at the file size, and this is really what I want to get across. We're going to talk about it more in our full video, but using the Octoprint plugin, and we're going to talk a little bit about Octoprint in a bit too, but using the Octoprint arc welding plugin, you can see that the file size went from 6.4 megabytes down to 4.0 megabytes. So
it just takes and parses your G code, and then figures out all of the moves to make them smoother.
yes, sir. So it basically, oops, sorry, wrong one. There we go. It basically changes all of the arc commands and stitches a contiguous piece, right? Because if you guys have used CAD software or so like Fusion, SolidWorks, I'm talking real CAD software that you can draw in, get SVGs out of. So even Adobe Illustrator, when you draw a curve, it's just there. When you draw a curve, the curve actually isn't a curve.
It's a vector.
Yeah, and it's a disjointed collection of a bunch of small segmented lines to make a curve. And so that's what arc welder does. It makes all of those into one contiguous move for the printer. So then you can actually end up one printing your print times don't really change because you're still printing the same amount, but the movement on your printer. So if you were printing an arc before, you could get a very stuttery extruder, right? Because we extrude for the segment and go to the next move command. But this one has a nice um, smooth pattern to it, and it's not just for circles, and it's not just for Cartesian or Predator. This will work, or Predator. Predator's not Delta, Greg. Delta. Delta. It's not just for those printers. It works on everything. So I've got Arc Welder installed, and I showed it off in my Octoprint. I like it better in Octoprint than I do the Kira plugin. That's partially
Is
because
it
we
is
don't
it
use Kira a lot.
yeah, but is it because it post processes it after you've already sliced?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you like it?
It is, yes, and that's exactly why. And you can set the plugin to, so like in my Octoprint there, I'm just gonna click screen share again, maybe screen share. So in Octoprint here, you can see this like AW file, aw.g code. So that means that this is the arc welded one. It automatically creates that. So when you upload a G code, you can have it set to automatically create it. Now, if you had a
Does it
file that,
does it
sorry,
keep both versions?
yes, yep. So you get both versions still. So it doesn't delete like your regular G code, and that's where you can see the size difference, the 4 versus 6. The you can arc weld with the plugin after it's been uploaded. So there it adds this little button. So we'll be doing a full thing on this because it is worthy of our time. But
Does it have you noticed any time difference in the printing?
no,
Or
because the movement's
or
still
it's
the
about the
same.
same?
It's just the same,
Okay.
yeah. Because you're still like, even though like it stitched the arc together, it's still moving the same distance, right? So
Right. So it doesn't it's not about speed, it's about smoothness. So
yeah,
it should maybe improve your print quality or at least um,
definitely, yeah,
the moves. Yeah.
yeah. And Ben saying, so Ben said, yeah, it's a lot smoother to print with arc welder, and it's true. Like, um, arc welder, if you have a jittery loud extruder to start with, this can help that problem just by making the smooth lines. What do we got? Stig says, I've tested both and I used the Octoprint plugin, the Kira plugin post process as well. Yeah, so the Kira plugin, hey, morning Ray.
Hey Ray.
The Kira plugin works okay if you use Kira as your main driver. So, and it has just they've added some stuff in the marketplace for that one too. But basically, it's post processing on both of them. Like Ben mentioned the Kira one too. So like it spits out regular G code and then it parses it after. So whether you have
Right.
Kira's doing it or I like Octoprint doing it personally. So yeah. I wish you the best. Thank you for all the great videos, especially VS Code. You are welcome, Sir or Madam Leighton. Leighton, you are welcome, Leighton. And thanks for the birthday wishes. I always appreciate it. And we got more coming out for Marlin. And I've been, Greg knows I've been stubbornly waiting. Marlin 2.0.8.
I checked hey, I checked this morning just so that we didn't have a surprise on
Mhm.
our stream that it dropped or something.
We always have to check
So
version numbers before
yeah,
we start, right? Like,
and no change. So
it's just it's sad. I was watching a live stream with Scat a few weeks ago, and he said it's really close. So the reason I'm
yeah,
waiting for that is I want to upgrade the SX4.
I think they're gonna squash some bugs and this and that, and so I definitely want to go to it too. I've got I think I'm on 7.6 on my Chiron,
Mm-hmm.
and so I want to get them all up once once I mean, it's working, so I haven't changed it. But if there's, I seriously want to go through and just see if there's,
The feature set.
something that I need to turn on. Like, I definitely want to upgrade that one because it has G34, but it doesn't have the new hold feature, which was added in 7.2.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to add the idle hold feature. So
Yeah.
so
Um,
that's on my list.
Stig asks, he queries, has anybody looked at the Arkwell codes to see if they are similar or the same? I can tell you they are dissimilar. They print the same object, Stig, but what happens is ArcWelder gets rid of a lot of commands, a ton, at least a third, and it stitches it all together. So before, when you had lots of G commands moving your extruder in a tiny segment and stuttering, ArcWelder replaces all of those with one line. So you could have like 20 lines in a row to accommodate your arc on a print, and this will stitch it into one command. So it does look really, really different. Is there a situation where arc support should be turned off? That's an
Good
interesting
question,
question.
Dominic.
I would not use it personally if I was printing a very um,
A box?
rectangle, square, box object, because you're not producing any arcs.
It probably won't reduce the size of it much.
No, like
You know,
it's
it
smart enough to take the arc commands and then merge them and weld them. So, is there a case where you need to turn it off? No. Would I use it on everything? No. But that's the beauty of the Octoprint plugin. You get both files still. So if you have it
yeah.
on automatically, you can pick what you want to. Like I've been printing. Do I have it here? No. It was the thing in our this printing right now, so I can't take it off the printer. But I've been printing these shoe rack things that are relatively square, and arc welder. Um, it knocked 2 megs off the file, and it's a square-ish thing. So that's probably why you wouldn't really need to turn off our arc welder. Tree support would be another reason to turn off arc welder for sure.
Oh
Trees,
yeah.
if you
That
arc
that
welded
makes
tree support, that'd be bad. So,
sense.
um, let's see here. What do we got?
Ben was saying that there's a BL touch issue on certain Sanguino boards.
mm,
Um, and
but
it hasn't.
that's for arc support. So yeah, like just to explain, elaborate the statement. Arc support is in your firmware. So the on some of those like Sanguino boards from Creality, the initial ones, or the new Sanguinos, if you add the BL Touch, it just can't it can't. There's not enough memory on those boards to arc weld.
So really, you should have a 32-bit board with to get the most benefit out of it.
Yeah, I mean we could throw this statement out there anyway. If you have a printer that doesn't have a 32-bit controller, maybe test to see how much you can make the screen light up, and then once it starts or stops working, then buy a new board.
Well,
My
I mean, it's worth testing. If you've got a custom firmware and you've turned on all the features and they actually all fit on
Mhm.
your 8-bit board, then try it. See if you have enough memory to process these large moves.
Yeah.
If you don't, then it might need the smaller moves just because of the memory resources
hmm
to do the moves, right?
But
So,
in general, no, there's not like a good reason to keep it off. But in some cases, it just doesn't work or it causes issues. And again, that kind of stuff is what you look in Marlin towards if you're using Marlin on the releases to see if they fix stuff. Because there was a point in time where if you had junction deviation and S curve acceleration enabled, you were having bad times.
I think
And
that was in 2.6 or something like that, right?
I think it was, yeah. And so then they fixed that, right? The other thing with having the ARC support. I think I just lost your audio, Gregory.
Did ya?
Oh no, you're just quiet again. Your mic moved. That's all it was. Anyway, so that's one of those cases where you look at upgrading and using it. So what is it? Or an MTX 2560 processor. Yeah, so you can go bigger.
Any of the 8-bit boards.
Hey guys, is Greg super quiet?
Am I?
You sound quiet. I'm not sure exactly why or what happened, but
Haven't changed.
if you can let me know if Greg's quiet, that would be great. Anyway,
I'll talk a bit, but I have not changed anything, so I hope I'm not quiet.
he promises. So, we will be doing a video on the arc welder, arc support, and actually S-curve acceleration all in the same video. So that one is coming. It's in the pipes. It's gonna be so good. It's a Marlin video. I like those. So there have been a few videos as of late, Greg, on the YouTubes and in the community that says PLA is biodegradable.
Apparently, I am quiet.
Yeah, I lost like almost all of your volume.
I don't know what I can do about that. 1 second.
Because I've got you all the way up here. So all your audio is fine on my end. But I'll talk while you fiddle. Greg's fiddling.
I'll mute my...
I'm not sure why he went away. But so recently there's been some stuff on PLA. And PLA is biodegradable, folks. That's not in dispute. But the timeline of so here's a silly question. Now, some of the videos say PLA will biodegrade in 6 months. This is what people are saying. 6 months. When's the last time you guys have printed something and it went poof on your shelf after 6 months? Never. I printed some. I'm 300 years, David. Yes. So PLA can biodegrade. That's not in dispute. If you want it to biodegrade quickly, you have to bury it and heat it to about 60 degrees, and then it might start biodegrading. Maybe.
How's my sound now?
Oh, I got you again. I have sound now, so that's good.
Okay. I switched microphones.
Greg is back. I'm happy. But so
Yeah,
I mean, PLA
stuff-
just doesn't go poof, right?
Everything can biodegrade, but the problem is you have to have the right conditions.
Mhm.
Like for example, paper's biodegradable, right? But here's the thing: you can dig up a landfill and pull out 100-year-old newspaper and still read it. Why? Because there's no oxygen. There's nothing to promote the biodegradation of that. So you can have something that can biodegrade, but it only biodegrades under the right conditions.
Right. And so everybody's posting, and it's all correct comments, and I love it. PLA needs anaerobic composting, and it does. PLA requires microbes and other microorganisms to eat it, to degrade it. So PLA is biodegradable. However, it is not going to biodegrade on you in 6 months. Like, I don't know about you, but I've had prints. Battery is dead in Greg's mic. Yes, Greg's mic died. It was sad.
I didn't even have a battery mic. It was plugged in, so I don't know what happened.
Greg's battery in his computer died. But so PLA is biodegradable. However, you have to bury it. It's not going to go poof. Like, I've had a PLA house address sign at the back of my house I printed. It's been out there for 3 years. The only thing that's happened to it is in the direct sunlight, it's warped where the screws went in.
And it's a little faded at the top side.
Yeah, the top side is bleached, but I mean, dyes bleach in the sun, right?
Yeah. I have a PLA doggy door that I printed,
Mhm.
and it's kind of warped a little bit,
Yeah,
just because that door gets heated by the sun and whatnot, and so I definitely should reprint it in PETG or something. But
definitely.
it it still works, and
Yep.
it's hasn't totally fallen apart, and it's been like almost 3 years for that too.
Yeah, I mean, like the overarching point we're trying, I guess, to make it across is don't. If people feel really good about printing PLA because it's recyclable and biodegradable, um, it biodegradable in 300 years or so. I mean, in normal conditions, unless and there's very few recyclers that actually can handle like PLA, like not like like in Canada we put stuff in a blue bin, send it to the recycler, and then they send it back or send it to wherever, and then they melt everything down. There's nothing like that for PLA here.
Yeah. Well, and there's been lots of reviews that 90% of the plastic that goes through recycling doesn't actually get recycled.
No, it just goes
That
into the landfill.
which is horrible. When they were promoting that, plastic is recyclable. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
if like as hard as it sounds or as harsh as it sounds, if you really want to feel good about yourself, you need to buy like that filament recycler mill that Stefan built from CNC Kitchen that like chews up the plastic, grates it down, and then you need that $3,000, I forget what brand it is, but that filament extruder, and
yeah.
then you can reuse your filament and feel
You know
really
what?
good.
It's not going to stop me from printing.
No, nor I. Like I don't like for the stuff that I print, I don't generate a lot of waste. Like when I first started printing, yeah, there was bins full of failed prints and that. But now stuff that I print, it's there forever, pretty well. I want it. Um, it biodegrades really quickly. Yeah, yes, it does. If your dog eats PLA, it will biodegrade fairly quickly.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is
my
true. My dog chews on everything. Well, less now, but he's 3. He's almost 3 now, so he's finally not chewing stuff. So
he's getting a little better.
yeah,
So Greg, you were in I think it was yesterday while I was moving to bed. Oh wait,
yeah.
we got a question. We got a question. Talking about PLA, I found out that it used for brake press tooling Cincinnati, who make 3D printers and brake press selling tool made of PLA. That's good use,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, sorry I interrupted. I was moving your bed, and then
Yep.
you were doing stuff. So what were you doing?
Well, I joined Jerry, 3D
Nah,
HP's,
yeah, Jerry Knapp.
um, his live stream that he did yesterday. Just dropped in and chatted with them, and the previous day I was watching them, and they were building droids. So they were using the was it Badley?
Mr.
My
Badley.
Yeah, Michael Badley.
Mm-hmm.
They got droids. If you join his Patreon, you can download the models, and then take. They were taking They printed them. They added the servos, and then they connected them to a 6-channel remote, and they had their very own droids, R2D2 and R4 or D4 or R4D2 or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
the
So
dude that blows his lid. Poof.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna share my screen here. Anyone is interested in printing one of those, um, you
Wait,
can head
hold on.
over to.
I got the wrong source, buddy. One sec. We tested
I just
this. Oh, it's Printception. I see what's going on. What are you doing?
did it
Wait,
come up?
1 second, y'all. Something weird's
All
going
right,
down. Greg.
David's running the show here today, the birthday boy. So
Wait. I see what it's doing. I don't understand why. One sec. Done. Sorry, guys. I'm running the show and I'm not running it very well, apparently.
It's all good.
We'll, we'll we'll be back after these brief messages. I figured it out. I just and then Greg needs to go above his screen. Okay,
There we go.
Yeah, like perfect.
So that's and print them out, and all the instructions on how to set it up is right there. So
Oh, hold on.
there you go.
Apparently we're echoing. Why we do this? We hold on. Greg, talk.
I'm talking.
Okay,
Hello.
And echo solved.
All right. Well, anyway, here's the Patreon. I'll put the link in the show notes. Actually, I'll throw it into chat right now, so that if anyone wants to check it out, they can, and we can go back to the full screen.
Okay. This one did it. Yeah.
So, but it was really cool. Like, if you guys picked up a 4-channel, that's probably good enough. But they were using 6 channels, so that gave them 6 more servos that they could control if they wanted to, like, make other parts of the robot do certain things and whatnot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely motivated. I want to build my own R2 now, or R4 or whatever.
Are you gonna go big? Are you gonna build the full size one?
Well, so the kit that they had to start with, just to kind of get your bearings and whatnot, is made for your standard size servos. So they want you to print it the size that they recommend.
Got it.
And then if you want to go crazy, I'm sure you can scale it up. I know there was talk on the stream yesterday of scaling it up to, bigger, but then you're going to need different servos and more powerful servos and whatnot. So yeah, you'll have to make sure you can do all that. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun.
His stuff is, well, like, I know lots of guys and that were printing the R2D2 that he has. The Calgary friends we have were doing that at one point. So yeah, I think the feed's okay. They have done 2 shows for the droids so far on how to build them. Yes,
they have they have, and they're doing another one where they've all painted theirs. And
what is this? Oh, cool. So guys, just throwing it out there, we are a family-friendly stream. Greg and I pride ourselves on this. So, and I probably we don't accept comments in the stream. And inappropriate things. So we're going to be removing a guy. But if you post inappropriate things, we will remove you, and you will be banned from the channel. Sorry, sucks. What happened to your Patreon page? The Patreon page is still there. We're just finishing the last part of that up, and then we're gonna try to match the YouTube community to that, and then it will be up probably March, first week in March. That was kind of our launch date goal, because we wanted to get everything kind of squared away, what we were offering and that kind of stuff. So look for that launch in a week ish, because March or February be done. February's done in a week. So yeah, we'll definitely be having that either next Saturday or the Saturday after. We'll have a little launch party for it. But yeah, sorry about the rant about family-friendly stuff, but we just pointed out.
I don't know. Someone just decided to put random stuff. I don't even know who that person is. So
no,
Yeah.
So yes. Anyway, yeah, Mr. Badley, he's cool. He's been doing this stuff for a long time, and lots of people print his droids, and they are awesome. So you should check him out if you haven't. The next topic du jour is one near and dear to my heart, and it involves SD cards of the micro or the full size version. And Greg knows the answer because we're super smart. But how many times can you write to an SD card, Greg? How many times?
A lot.
A lot. The a lot answer is 100,000 is what the average write span of a SD card is. Now, Greg,
Yes.
if you're printing in vase mode and have power loss recovery, and your G code is 1,000 lines, how many times does it write to your SD card?
Your G code is 1,000 lines. Well, it writes the G code the first time and then it reads it.
Right. But then if power loss recovery writes back to the SD card every time it reads a line. So
Oh yeah, okay.
so you can see like your SD card life in your printer could be degraded quite substantially with power loss recovery because it's always writing back in case something dies. They actually
That
had
makes
a
sense.
problem with vase mode in the Ender 3 V2 firmware. When they launched that, it was actually like blobbing because the power loss recovery wasn't smooth enough. So every time it went to move up, it would stop and then move up and then go. So it wasn't actually, but vase
Another
mode.
reason for 32-bit boards.
Yeah. Well, I think that one was 32, but it's another
Is
reason for
it?
not a Creality 32-bit board.
Or more features turned on than the firmware.
Yeah, because I think the board that comes with that, so the one that did come with the Ender 3 V2 is the 422, and then they
Yeah.
released the 427 shortly thereafter. And I've heard rumblings that the 422 is now shipping with some Ender 3 Pros as well. I have not got my hand on any of those, but I've seen in the forums that some of them have. But SD
Well,
card
we'll
life,
probably find out in a couple of weeks here.
right? We'll know. Um, the SD card support on your printer.
Buffering.
Oh, we'll just give it a second. It's back up. It's like at
Okay.
10,000. Anyway, the SD card support on your printer, when you have power loss recovery, you are greatly diminishing the life of your SD card. So this is why
I agree. I agree with Ben. Power loss recovery is kind of useless.
the only use case for it really is if you care enough to not throw away your print job if power does go out, or you don't want to measure it after the fact.
Well, and it also like if it didn't layer shift in the power outage or something else. Like there's a lot of reasons
Yeah.
why it. Like I've done it on little models for testing.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like I in my Ender, I have the UPS module,
Yeah.
and so I can unplug the power. It'll continue printing for a while, and then plug in the power, and it never noticed that the power was unplugged for not a super long time, but long enough that if I had like a UPS or some other thing that had to click in, it's not going to interfere the print during the print.
Right. Yep.
Kind of thing.
And I mean that's fair. Like I don't use it. I don't even think I have it enabled. I might. I don't know, but I don't. So this is the other statement that everybody's probably gonna throw like shade. Not shade, but the I don't use the SD card in the printer to print. Never have been a fan of printing with the little SD card in the printer. I'm using Octoprint. And there's some reasons for that. And I know there's a giant camp of people that are for using Octoprint to send your print jobs and upload your G code, and there is a large camp of people that are like, no, you must use the SD card because it is the way. This is how you print, right? And I think Greg and I are both team Octoprint. for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple printers that Octoprint, or one printer, I should say, that Octoprint just doesn't work on.
Yeah,
So I
right.
have to do the SD card shuffle. So
Every day I'm shuffling. The other reason is Greg and I, um, so we start a lot of prints remotely. We're not like right now. Yeah, okay, I'm in the room. Right now I could, but like lots of the print jobs that we start are remote, and we need to be able to control them and monitor them. And you there is ways, right? Like the Wi-Fi module that you have, you could make that work with your
yeah,
SD card
it doesn't quite work the same way though.
and then like the thing that I like about Octoprint, and not just Octoprint, like Astroprint, Octoprint, um, Printer OS, those things is you get a package. You can use your camera plus a G code terminal, right? So then you can see everything that's going on and halt the print if all else fails. So, and I have yet to actually burn out an SD card at home
Well,
in a Pi.
um,
We've done a couple at
Stig,
work.
Stig was saying he's considering using the Big Tree Tech board in the CRS Pro, and the Max has the same board as the Pro, and I'm putting a 1.4 turbo in the Max, and so I have to deal with the ribbon cable, and so I'm debating, do I finish soldering up my adapter to make the ribbon cable work, or do I buy the little adapter on Amazon to make it work? So that's what
So,
I'm working on now.
yeah. And Pierre asks, can you use Octoprint without Wi-Fi? Yes, but you do need some sort of network connection to it. So it either has to be Wi-Fi or it has to be like
Oh, you can plug it
a
into
wire,
Ethernet.
right?
Yeah.
But if your work's not letting you on the Wi-Fi, um, they might frown upon the wire too. But yes, you can. You can use it without. The other thing you can do is Greg and I both have them. Is you could attach your Raspberry Pi to a screen. Big Tree Tech sells the Raspberry Pi screen, and then it just
Yeah.
gives you the interface right there if you wanted to use.
Well,
Um,
the other thing you could do too is you could do a hotspot and control it. So you make your own little Wi-Fi network to your printer at work if you
did you
had
see
to.
Stig's comment? It's the best. When it comes to 3D printing, I only use my credit card. Hi-oh.
Yeah,
Dominic asks, have you looked at Simply Print Octoprint Cloud? I have. And
I
I
have not.
it's relatively like a newer thing for Octoprint. Um, I will say this out loud. The reason that I have not given much thought to a cloud service, other than Astroprint, Greg and I are network engineers as well, so we're fairly good with firewalls and security. So we don't. I don't use a third party jump out of my network to view my Octoprint. Um,
Yeah, we've
that being said,
hacked it, so to
hack the
speak.
planet. Yeah, we use some tricks of the trade, DDNS, some really good strict firewall rules, app control, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, but that being said, Dominic, if you wanted a simple solution and you don't want to go into your router or firewall and make sure everything's secure and worry about port forwarding or application guards or application gateways,
I
right?
know where you're going with this.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can use Simply Print, Astroprint. Yeah, Astroprint, right?
Astroprint. I knew you were going there, which is
Astroprint's
fine.
my fave. If you're using two printers or less, it's free, and it it makes me happy because Astroprint um, added Kira a while ago, but they added the new version of Kira, and it looks like Prusa Slicer is going up too. So, AstroPrint. But
Ben was saying the Creality Wi-Fi box, he's used that. Well, this little Creality camera here, they based that Wi-Fi box off of this, and they've discontinued this already. So if you had this, it doesn't work anymore.
yeah, they kind of hid the app from the App Store.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully they don't do the same thing with that.
One, I've seen mixed. Like, I don't own one, and there's a reason I didn't buy one, and that's because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ben. Feel free to, but like, it from the videos I saw, I don't want something that's going to tie my hands behind my back, right? It's cheap. I'll give them that. The thing is cheap, and then you get access to the Creality Wi-Fi cloud, and then you're going through. But I
don't stuff in China.
Yeah, like sometimes people,
not that there's anything wrong with China.
No, it's just where do you want to trust your data, right?
I like my data being on my own network.
Definitely. Greg, I'm gonna put you full screen. I gotta be right back. BRB.
All right. Okay. So let's do some question and answers. We've kind of been doing it all along, but if you guys have been waiting for some specific questions and answers, please throw them in chat right now. I use the UFW firewall and failed to ban on all my servers, and they stop a lot of brute force. That is true. I use that on all my Linux stuff as well. And I mitigate a lot of the attacks with the built-in firewall and the fail to ban. They work really well. And you can, if you have a Raspberry Pi, you can turn those features on as well. So, don't know if there's anyone else who has some questions. Well, David is off. Did I miss any questions? The CPP on my printers either. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Creality stuff is fine. But I do have my biggest beef with Creality is they're not consistent across. Well, they're consistently inconsistent, as a show yesterday. They could have one board for all their products, and it would handle all their products. But they constantly are putting board A and board B, board C, and you never know which board you're going to get. So it would be nice if they would just, here's the board, because if they stuck to one board, even if they put 5 drivers on it or 6 drivers so they have more flexibility, they could use that same board, just print as many as they need and put it in all their printers and not have to worry. But
yeah, and the time for them to add a driver is like what, an extra 6 seconds on the assembly.
Well, and then why not put UART on it also?
That's my biggest beef. Like
why not turn on UART on every manufacturer should have UART or SPI available as an option to just have on, because why wouldn't you?
Victor asks, where can I go to learn how to use a Raspberry Pi? So it really depends what you want to do with the Raspberry Pi. If you're wanting to just learn how to flash Octoprint on it and see what Octoprint does, we have a video.
Yep.
And we have a video. We have several videos, one for Octoprint, one for AstroPrint. They're both, I like to think they're easy to follow.
No, they're pretty easy to follow. And you don't have to get the Cadillac Raspberry Pi unless you want to use it as like a small PC or something, right? You don't need a Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gig of RAM. You could get away with Raspberry Pi 3, 3B plus. We have some of those. I have some Raspberry Pi 4. I think they're 1 gigs.
Yeah, mine's a 4.
I can't remember.
Mine's the 4. Yeah.
I have a 4, and I think I have a 2.
But if you wanted to, specifically speaking, learning Raspberry Pi for your 3D printer, we have some good videos. just in our 3D Make It channel there. So if you're on the video, you already know where our channel is. So if you click that, you can. Raymond says if we want to try the Creality Wi-Fi box, there's one we can use. Maybe Ray, we'll talk it over. Just because, again, I
We're
shouldn't
not
judge
big
it.
fans.
Yeah, but I shouldn't judge it before I try it either.
That's true. That's true.
So that's kind of where the maybe comes from. Does
Well, thanks,
do,
Leighton.
the videos are great. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Ray, does Spool sell those? Question mark. Does Spool sell the Wi-Fi boxes?
They used to. I think they even sold these at one point.
Yeah, and I think those are still listed on their website too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, you can't even use them as a camera. Just don't use a Raspberry Pi Zero for Octoprint. No, but pro tip: use a Raspberry Pi Zero for Repeater. That's fine.
Well, don't use a Raspberry Pi Zero if you want a camera as well.
This
right?
is
Because
true.
it just, you could use it. I don't recommend it. And honestly, what is it? What's the other one we got? We had the 3B, not the plus. The three, is it the
3A,
3B?
3A.
3A.
Yeah, 3A.
The 3A. The only thing you have to add is a hub to it,
Yep.
and it works really well. And it's nice and compact. But I'd just go with your standard Raspberry Pi 3B. So, and it works really well. And then it frees up your computer, right? You're not. The nice thing is, if you're new to 3D printing, and you only have, let's say, a laptop or a one PC, and you have it sending G code to your printer or whatnot because you're tethered.
Yeah.
That's gonna, if you start doing other things on your PC, you're gonna have problems.
It's gonna be an issue.
And you can still print from your SD card, no problem, if you want to shuffle it around. But
well, not only that, but Octoprint lets you upload to the SD card if you really want to.
Absolutely. and once you get like David and I, where you have more than one printer, all of a sudden SD cards are kind of a pain. So once you have like 3 printers, all of a sudden Pis make more sense. And if you want to save money, you can do multi-instance on a Pi 4 pretty easily to allow it to control multiple printers if you want, and things. So there's lots of diversity you can do if you want. So
and yes, Prusa do use a Raspberry Pi Zero because they built the hat for it. The one thing I will say too is if you're talking Raspberry Pis versus the Creality Wi-Fi, just in general, high level, Octofarm exists for your Raspberry Pi, which lets you control all of your printers by adding the interfaces to it, whereas it's still kind of a sliced up feeling in the Wi-Fi box area thing. But again, I think it's something that we should probably try. And just to put it in perspective, our good friend Ray and Ben actually both posted prices. So in America, it looks like Ben got his for about $10 American.
$20. $20 at Spool, so that's not too bad.
And when you're talking a Raspberry Pi, $60 is usually the cheapest Canadian you could get. I did see, and I forget what store it was in the States. It was, oh man, they had the Raspberry Pi 4 1 gigs on sale for $30 US. So that would be a take my money moment. Stig says for free, and Chris got a video explaining how to install. Yes, now.
Yeah, you can do Octoprint.
For sure.
On any Linux. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple wget command, and then you run the script, and then it's set up. So literally, it's like 3 lines of code, and you should be running. And we've done it for a few people up here actually with some recycled machines and Octoprint. So it, the reason, and I will say Linux. Let's just say Linux as an overall arching thing, right? Because Raspberry Pis run Linux. Linux doesn't reboot your computer without you telling it to reboot your computer. Where
Mhm.
Windows, if it feels like it, like right now, it could pop up and go, "Oh, you got an update and you can't postpone this one, so I'm resetting in 5 minutes." I don't care what you're doing. I'm just doing it. And that's a
Yeah,
Windows 10 feature. And you can set the maintenance windows. It doesn't always listen to them,
yeah. The
right?
Raspberry Pi 3A in Canada right now is like $32.
Yeah.
So
And then Victor says he paid 35 for a 3B plus. So, yeah, I mean,
that's a good deal.
it's a really good deal. And yeah, like if you're flashing, so if you're new to Pies and you're flashing Octoprint or even anything, watching the video that we have up will help with that. You can run multiple Creality Wi-Fi boxes using your phone app. And again, yeah, you totally can. But at the same time, one sec here, hold on. I'm just gonna.
I'm just worried that they're gonna kibosh it like they did this guy,
So
right?
here's
Like
here's my
this is
printoid
useless
hub.
now.
Yeah, like right. Whereas this is Octoprint on my phone, and then there's all my printers. And if I show a camera, I can see and control all my printers. Um, Again, it's kind of like we can't judge it completely till we try it, but we definitely have our favorite stuff.
Dominic, I flash my printer's firmware from Octoprint all the time.
Yeah, I
So
do too. Yeah, or using the method on my video with
yeah,
the
so you
FTP.
yeah, so you can. There's a nice plugin that I use, and then you put the commands you need. It'll write the firmware to the printer, and away you go.
Leighton
Yeah, it
has a
works real
Model
good.
B plus Rev 1.3, which means you have the new Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's a good model of Raspberry Pi. Totally, that'll work really well if you feel like putting Octoprint on it.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen or haven't gone back in our videos on the channel there, um, Greg, can you do it so I don't turf the
One
we
second.
have a video called Upload from Anywhere, and then that one shows kind of uh, one way to upload your file via SFTP, I should say, server to your Pi and get it all flashed. Um, but you can flash your firmware through Octoprint on anything. It's just a matter of finding the right support for the chip. So the firmware updater as well. If you guys haven't seen the firmware updater plugin, it's been around for a while. There's a on their GitHub. There's a great resource right on the first page just to show you, like, if you have this chip, you need to do it this way. If you have a 32-bit LPC 1768 or an STMF, you need to do it this way. So there's some great things.
What
Um,
what was it called again, David? Do you
uh,
remember?
the video, I think it was like Upload Anywhere. Upload Marlin the lazy way. I forget. I can look. I'll look. We'll be fine. It'll
Oh
be
yeah, I
fine.
found
Okay,
it.
found it. Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, I've seen a few videos, and I would like to like. I'm not the kind of person that will be like, yeah, don't use it because everybody else says it's bad. I want to use it, and I want to know it's bad, and then I can give a straight up like opinion. I believe that the reason that the overarching reason that people couldn't connect the box to their printer has to do with baud rate and processor speed.
Yeah,
When I did watch Teaching Tech's video that he did, that was kind of my first thought. Was it's interesting that it worked with one printer, and I forget which one he actually got it to work on eventually. I think it was like an Ender 3 with like a Creality board, but that to me says that there's baud rate issues between the control box and the printer.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I'm not saying don't use it. If you want to try it, feel free because I mean, it might work in your situation, right?
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah,
yeah, we'll
we're not
probably get one,
discouraging
and
you.
we'll grab one and do a thing. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
10 for 12 bucks or $20. Wow, that was three prices that were all wrong, Greg. So
Well, it's your birthday. You're allowed to be wrong.
right, um, so that's kind of the spiel. Like when people say always print from the SD card, okay, you can, and I don't discourage it by any means. I mean, that was the original method, but you're going to burn out your SD card with those features faster than you would running Octoprint, and Octoprint is a solid interface if you need remote printing. So yeah, that's the overall overall
Hack,
gist.
Hack Monkey said hasn't found a way to flash the SKR Mini E3 yet. It's pretty straightforward to flash it, but you got to get your firmware all configured in Marlin to get your nice image on the SD card before you flash it. So
I think that our BL Touch video was that on an E3 Mini? I can't
mm,
remember, or was it a 1.3? Um,
I'm not sure,
to
but
send
feel free to send us some info. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
he's throwing it in the chat. But basically, to get the firmware on there, that particular board uses the STM series processor, so you need to make sure the board's set correctly, both in config.h and platform any. And then once you get that, there's two ways to compile and send your firmware. You can build your firmware and then copy the firmware.bin file. So it's two steps. You click build and then you copy manually.
Yep.
Or you can plug your board into the computer and you can tell VS Code that my board is on this COM port and please build and upload. I've always been a big fan of doing it manually. There's several reasons why, but you can just plug the SD card into a reader and then put your firmware on it and then transfer it back. And remember, with all the 32-bit boards, even the Creality ones, you have to. The easiest way is to turn it off and turn it on to flash the
Yeah.
firmware. If
Yeah.
you Now this doesn't apply to the SKR Mini, but if you do have the Creality board, you cannot name the file firmware.bin. It has to be a different name every time you upload. It can be anything you want .bin, but on the Creality 4.22 and 4.27 boards, if you upload the same file name consecutively, it'll freeze and just you'll have to reflash. Hack Monkey says he hasn't had a problem on his 3 or 4. Yeah, something's going on there. If you want to send us an email with your firmware that you're trying to flash, and I
Yeah,
guess
the configuration.h and
yep,
advanced file. That's all we need. We don't need the anything else.
no. And the other thing, maybe the any, the platform any.
Yeah, the platform in any. Yeah.
Yeah. But it depends. Like if you've done the 1.3 and 1.4, I assume you know the tricks of the trade. Like you can plug in the USB cable into the computer, should show up like a USB drive, copy paste, you're done. Last I looked, flashing the Mini 3, it was documented as a problem on GitHub. I've only ever used two Mini E3s. One was from Richard in Calgary, and one was from one of our coworkers. We put one in her ender, and they both flashed okay. So send us those files on info, and then we'll take it offline and take a peek. The
Yep.
Wi-Fi box connects to the printer, so you can slice the file, send the G code. Yeah, so the Wi-Fi box is an equivalent to the functionality of Octoprint. It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just different.
but sheesh, Greg, it's been an hour.
It has. It flew by.
Friends, since it's my birthday and I'm hungry, we're gonna call it.
Well, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and thanks everyone for joining us in chat. And today it was great. We had a lot of people contributing, and it's always good to hear from everyone. So,
Yeah, thanks for coming out, guys, and have a good one. We'll see you next week.